Welcome to TORAH Talk. I am your host, William Hall, broadcasting live out of Kingsland, Texas. That's episode number 16 of Hebrew for Fun and Profit with Gavriel Sanders, our beloved friend. Well, Gavriel, welcome back to the show, as well as my two youngins, David and Sarah. David, Sarah, you want to say hi?
Hi. Hi.
And our kitty cat is here with
hi.
us as well.
What's the cat's name? Ma Shem HaChatul.
The cat's name is Lucy. Lucy. Yeah, she thinks she owns the place. Yeah. All right, there we go. Oh, I couldn't figure out where you went. There you are. Super. Welcome back.
Am I here?
You are.
Thank you very much.
Very good. Very good. That's good.
Todah.
Yeah.
So, I understand you've been very busy, and I'm glad that you're back. This is a bilingual thing that I'm doing. You know,
you know, one of my favorite rabbis to listen to on Chabad.org was the beloved Yehoshua Gordon. May his memory be.
Yes.
He does the same thing. He's like, he'll read Hebrew and then he'll translate like a sentence at a time, and I love that. That is so cool. That is so cool.
I remember him. אני זוכר אותו, ואהבתי אותו. I loved him. שמעתי אותו די הרבה. I listened to him a lot, and he's still. One of the amazing things that is brought down in Jewish sources is that a person who's a Rasha, not from Russia, but a Rasha,
right.
Some will confuse the two. That a person who's a Rasha, which is known as like an evildoer, is the best translation of it, is really dead in this life. And the tzaddikim, the righteous people, especially our sages, are more alive after they've left this world than when they're in this world, because they have such limitations. And you know, one of the things that personally I've been thinking about a lot lately, אחד הדברים שחשבתי על זה ממש הרבה לאחרונה, באופן אישי, is that we are this kind of hybrid existence. We've talked about this before on the program, דיברנו על זה בעבר, that there's a part of us that's animalistic, and there's a part of us that really has the breath of God. We know that from Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. Sefer Bereshit, Perek Beit, Pasuk Zayin, that tells us that Hashem vayipach va'apav, he breathed into his nostrils. So this is after he drew them out from the ground. He was afar adama. He was like dust from the ground. So we have this carbon-based component that we share in common with the animal kingdom, and we have this other worldly, eternal component that lives inside of us, and that's the soul. The question is, am I a body with a soul? Am I a soul with a body? Am I just a soul? Am I just a body? All of those are different perspectives that people have, and people like Rabbi David Aaron and others going all the way back to the Arizal and other great sages have talked about this issue. I don't want to go down this path right now for today's program because we have a number of other things to do. But it's just something very powerful to think about when I consider, especially lately in my Jewish history class, I've been really teaching more about Jewish thought. And as we go through the ages with the sages in the pages, one of my favorite phrases. And I heard that from an old black preacher, by the way. You'd think a rabbi would have said that, but no, I heard it from an old black preacher. So I've never forgotten that. So that's really the Jewish journey, a walk through the ages with the sages in the pages.
Nice.
It's very much a literary relationship with those who've gone before, and that's how they transmit their wisdom to us, and that's how we pick it up and we carry it forward in this process called B'tahlich hazeh shenikra Mesorah or Masorah, which is what Tevi sang about in Fiddler when he said tradition, but that's really not the meaning of it. Just odd cultural things that we do. Masorah means to hand over from one, like a baton pass from one hand to the other. That's here's the wisdom of that Jewish wisdom. I get it from somebody, I pass it on to somebody. So it's a chain relationship, and we have this chain going all the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, our teacher, and then even further back to Avram, who is really the progenitor, the grandfather of the Jewish people. There's one thing I want to say. I was in a conversation with some missionary types from a very well-known organization that will not be named here. And the friend of mine that I was sitting with, a very well-known rabbi in the area, he's a Hasidic rabbi, and he's one of the top experts in missionary theology. Very, very good in this subject. And it wasn't Michael, and it was because Michael's not Hasidic, but though he teaches a lot of Hasidic thought. and is a dear friend of mine. So this other dear friend of mine, let's just call him Moshe. Moshe was talking with these missionaries, and he asked them, he said, who is Abraham to you? Mihu Avraham lechem. And they said, Hu Av Shel Monotheism, he's the father of monotheism. Hu Tchilat Am Yehudi, he's the beginning of the Jewish people. And Moshe said, can I tell you who he is to me? And they said, no, me. Who? He said, Hu Asaba Sheli, he's my grandfather. He said, you read the story of Tanakh, and it's people and places and events and happenings. And he said, I read Tanakh, and it's my family history. So that's a real different perspective. And I know when I was on the other side of the spiritual tracks in the Christian world, I never could relate to that, And so finally, I connected with a Jewish person who really understands the meaning of this concept of Masorah. And so he said a very interesting thing, Moshe. He said, I don't believe the Torah simply because the Torah tells me to do something. I believe the Torah because my forefathers received it and passed it down to me. And that's a very different experience than someone who just merely reads the book. So it's really an inheritance. There are different words for that, but nachala is an inheritance. So anyway, I want to get to some of the subject matter we have for today. Bruchim habayim lekol hatzofim. Welcome to all the viewers. התגעגעתי אליכם, I missed you, ואני מאוד שמח שאתם פה. יש לנו די הרבה לעשות היום. We have a lot to do today, and I'm glad that Sarah is here, and your son's name is?
David.
David, okay, David Vasara. Easy enough to remember, okay. Shalom Aleichem. Aleichem Shalom.
Aleichem
Thank you.
Shalom. You can use the microphone. There you go.
Aleichem Shalom.
Shalom Aleichem, David.
We joke around sometimes. I'll be like, the bread is so good. It's like, Shalom Alaikum. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's funny. That's funny. That's very, very funny. So first off, I want to just mention because this is really a Hebrew language learning magazine, and part of my responsibility, as it says right here, to be a madrich. I'm a moreh, but I'm your language guide. So part of what I do is I comb the web for various resources that I think can be helpful to people at different levels. And the challenge of this particular program is to present resources, ideas, concepts, content in a way that meets a number of different levels. So for some people, I can simply direct you to where you can go to, like a watering hole, to really slake your thirst for learning this beautiful language. Maybe I should say one thing about that process. I've gone through quite a metamorphosis since the month of May about how I actually teach Hebrew in my classrooms. And went back to some language teaching theories based on second language acquisition from the very textbook I learned from many, many years ago in graduate school when I studied the science of language acquisition, known as linguistics, applied linguistics, and Dr. Stephen Krashen. So I have a mentor out of Chicago that's working with our school system, our private Jewish school system here on Long Island, and we're applying these techniques. And I think I've mentioned this once before. There's a huge difference between learning language and acquiring language.
Right.
So when you learn a language, you really are oftentimes learning about language, vocabulary lists, even though I'm going to present a list today, and grammar rules, and you put the two together and you're supposed to come out with an ability to speak. That's not how we all learned our first language. Our first language was learned by a long, protracted season of input, massive input, followed with a little bit of output. And not that well spoken, by the way. Maybe one of your kids, it might have been David or it might have been Sarah, who said, "Wah," many years ago. And you said, "Oh my gosh, he wants water, she wants water." And everybody ran around and supplied. And the kid learns that when he says "wah," people get busy and learn other things from their own compelling self-interest. And so the brain is wired, even in adult life and teen life, to learn language or acquire language in a pattern that's very similar to what we went through before. The problem is it's not really good for publishing houses and people who develop curriculum and offer courses at high prices. That doesn't really work well for them, because to do the method that really works, means you really have to know your student. You're not just presenting content, material, third-party info and trying to get the person to absorb it. You're actually getting involved with that individual's life, their mind, their heart, their interests, where they're at, and allowing them to make all the mistakes that they need. I don't correct my students in class now when they make mistakes. I model for them. So if someone says something like, I don't know, maybe they use masculine instead of feminine or singular instead of plural, I just say, ani mevin, and then I model the right thing and go on, because they need to hear that a long, long time. So for those out there who are concerned and think about themselves trying to learn Hebrew and go, well, maybe I'm just not good at languages. Well, what are the first 4 words I just said?
I'm not good.
Yeah, maybe I'm just not good.
Right.
That's what the brain hears. At languages or with languages, that's a prepositional phrase. The brain discounts those things. It just hears, I'm not good. And that's not true, because you have, all of you listening to my voice right now, Kol echad sheshomeh et koli has already learned, kvar lamadtem, one of the most difficult languages in the world, and that is, וזאת אומרת, השפה האנגלית, the English language. It's not easy because it's such a, anybody who knows what a cholent is, the stew that we eat on Shabbat, that's what English is. It's very difficult. I mean, just take words that are written with O-U-G-H and figure out the different variations on that. It drives people nuts, as well as things that are written but not said, and said but not written. I'm gonna, would ya, why'd ya, where'd ya? There's a whole barrel of these things that confuse the non-native speaker of English, and then throw in Southern accents, Texas accents, New England or wherever, Chicago, the cheese country up there within Wisconsin. It drives people crazy because it's not consistent, and the mind wants consistency. But give time and we'll do fine. Give it time and you'll do fine. Give it time and you'll do fine. But you got to have a teacher that teaches you in something that's known as comprehensible input, where the messages are coming to you in meaningful and compelling and fun ways. In my classes, I teach my kids now today, we have 2 railroad tracks that keep our rakevet, our train, going forward. One track is called kef, which is the word for fun, kef, and the other is the word kidma. And I tell the students, you don't want to kid ma about your progress. Kidma means progress. Cool. So we don't kid ma about progress. So
tell mom the truth. Yeah,
that's right. So let's take a look at some resources here, and I'll bring the screen down in just a moment. But recommended resource number 1 is called Textim al pi remote. That's what we have here. We have Textim. Is this going to work for me? No, it's not going to work for me. Let me go back over here. Okay, I'm trying to get my little pointer to do its thing, and it's not. Can you see my mouse arrow moving?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so Mekorot Mumlatzim, recommended resource number 1, Textim al pi remote, graded reading. So this big long URL up here is from, it's associated with the Israeli Government Ministry of Education, Medinat Yisrael, Misad HaChinuch, and here are, we see here texting the Ramah Aleph. Ramah is the word for level. Ramah Aleph, Ramah Beit, Ramah Gimel, Ramah Dalet. So this is like going up 4 levels. In each of these levels, corresponding to the color here, there are many different, very short readings. And let's take a look at some of them. Let me get down here. Excuse me just a second. And I'm dropping the screen, and let's come over to here. Okay, so here's an example of one. I don't know how well you can see that. I'll try and bring it up. My screen is not enlarging it. But this is, I'll tell you 2 things that are here. When you get to, first of all, there is a catalog. That's where we started. So when I choose one of these, like this story, Mazot Ahava, what is love? So this is a story about a lady writes in, her name is Chana, and she tells a story about her 4-year-old child who just seems to want, takes all the time. And the psychologist goes and tells her that she's got she's a misunderstanding about love. So this is this Hebrew is fairly simple. Now, if someone looks at this and says, well, I don't read Hebrew without vowel points, then this is not adequate for you. If you do read Hebrew with vowel points, and you have a vocabulary of, let's say, somewhere around 500 plus words, then this is probably a good place for you. And you can, by the way, see these little blue, these highlighted letters, words here. It gives you a definition. For example, here's the word, Hayeled af pam lo merutze. The child is never satisfied. And it tells you, here it says, lo tov lo, it's not good for him. Lo sameach, he's not happy. So it gives you some synonyms of how to understand it. The word over here, mefunak, says notnim hakol bli sof. Mefunak means spoiled. So these are very short pieces that are here. And when you're ready for it, you can actually take a little self-test that comes up here. Each one has about 6 multiple choice questions.
Do me a favor real fast. Put your cursor anywhere in the middle of that screen and hold your control key down and scroll forward with your ball. Hold the control.
Oh, like that?
Yep, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Okay.
There you go. All right, now we can actually see what you're doing. Okay,
okay, good. So let's go back to the reading then, so you can actually
that's way better. Very nice.
See a little better. Okay, so here's what we said. So when you put the mouse over the blue letters, you see how the words come up.
Yes, nice.
So then these are pretty much short readings, and like I said, you have then the little test that's there that you can take. Put your name in here, Shem Malay. It doesn't go anywhere. And when you take the test, you come down here at the bottom, it says shlach, which means send, and it'll bring you back the results and tell you which ones you got right, and it'll give you a score. So that's a very easy thing that a person can utilize. And then going back to the catalog, I'll just show you like one other, maybe let's say something from, here's a story about Eliezer ben Yehuda. Eliezer ben Yehuda was the individual who helped to revive modern Hebrew. He made Aliyah to Israel in 1881. He was a Hebrew teacher as well as a journalist from Russia. And so he was fanatical. We could do a whole story just on his life. I met one of his granddaughters once years ago, and he wanted the Jewish people to not just have a language of prayer and academic study and correspondence, but to be, he calls it here, Am Normali. That's what this says right here, Am Normali, a normal people. And so he knew they needed a language, Am Kmo Kol Ha'amim. The problem with the Jewish people, though, and there is a problem here with this, there's a very famous Israeli singer, actor named Yoram Gaon, interviewed in a paper years ago, and he said, Hinei ha-dilemma shelanu. Here's our dilemma. Anachnu rotzim liyot am. We want to be a people, kmo kol ha'amim, like all of the people. Aval berega sheniyeh kach. The moment we become such, lo niyeh. We will cease to be. Pretty amazing thought. So, but that aside, the Hebrew language, though, has been revived. And as one who's experienced, I wanted to learn biblical Hebrew when I was, years ago when I was in Bible college. And it was so boring, so dead. It reminded me, my Greek studies alone were enough to drive my head crazy. So by going to Israel, by being in an ulpan, by having Hebrew, in the class 4 hours a day, 6 days a week, and then when I worked in the factory, the kitchen, the dining room, constantly using it, being surrounded by it, it accelerated it at a great pace. So today, it's possible, not everybody can go to Israel and do that, but today you can surround yourself with resources. So you have things like this, these readings that are available to you. And you can go a long way with this. And like I said, these readings are graduated. This is an easy level. This is a more difficult level when you come up to this. This is a story about Thor Heyerdahl. Everybody remembers Thor Heyerdahl, the Norwegian explorer. And so this is a little bit longer story with a little bit more sophisticated vocabulary. Same principle here. Here's his name, here's his picture, and it shows you the meanings of the words. So I don't want to spend too much time on that, but that's one resource that we have. Another resource that we've talked about before, and comes up on the next slide, is this website called Teach Me Hebrew. Tons of great things here. You can actually, and again, I'm not a big fan of vocabulary lists just for lists, but a lot of his vocabulary work they do here is contextualized. You can go and find phrases and conversations and different topics that might be of interest to you. Another thing that they do is they feature some music. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the music that's here because I think some of it's a little bit on the dark side. I don't mean, what we used to say in the old days, satanic. It's just not such uplifting regular Jewish music. But this song was brought to my attention by my mentor out of Chicago, and it's very simple. And You won't be able to hear it, but I'll just put it up here for a second. And so you can see that you get the Hebrew at the top,
Right.
and you get the phonetic pronunciation in the middle, and then the English. So this is a song about someone, when she has a child, what will she give the child? And the words are very beautiful. Much of it is very, very simple. There are only 2 or 3 lines that you might have to study a little bit, like this one here that says, "Et ha'ofek hatzah sheroim b'chalon," the narrow horizon that you see through the window. But there's, again, a lot of resource here at this song. We have many other songs and tons of things here. The phrase book. We've looked at this before. There's even a Hebrew frequency list of up to 10. Can you imagine 10,000 words, which you'll be very fluent. But if you have 3,000 or 4,000, you'll be fine. Right. If you set yourself to learn 300 or 400 words a year, which isn't that much, like think of just learning 10 words a week or 8 words a week. You can get there. 4 or 5 years, 6, 7 years, you'll be in great shape.
Right.
Another thing that I wanted to bring to your attention. Let me just drop these out of the way while we're going through this. That'll be much easier. This we did. The Chadshon. That's the one I'm looking for. Let me put the glasses on. And I'm at that age. What can I tell you? There we go. Okay. This is an amazing website. Also,
can I do scroll in some more if you don't mind?
Yeah, I'll come in some more on that.
Much as you can fit within your page. Yeah.
Okay.
That's better.
All right. So this is called Chadshon B'Ivrit Kala. Chadshon is a made-up word. It comes from the word Chadash. So it means like renewed or new or whatever. B'Ivrit Kala in simple Hebrew. Now a lot of people are going to look at this and go, whoa, what do you mean simple Hebrew? So it's a very short URL. But when you come here, one of the things I'd like to point people's attention to is this one here I'm highlighting called Chadashot. Chadashot, from the word Chadash, means new, and this is news. So if I come over here, I come to something called Kotrot. Kotrot are like headlines. So every day, at about 6 o'clock in the morning in Israel, the producer of this site puts together the news. So here it's Yom Rishon, Tet B'Mar Cheshvan, and this was today's news. And so what you see in writing is also given out down here at the bottom in audio form. So again, if I push on it, you won't hear it. I'll hear it. But this you can listen to the news headlines, and you can say, I'll just push it so you can watch the timing here. It's a minute and 14 seconds. So she always starts out saying the date that it is, and always ends off with something related to the weather. Here she says, Ha-tachazit. Tachazit means forecast. It says, Geshem kal, light rain, b'tzafon, uv'mishor achof. And along the coastal plain, there's light rains falling. So this is something that if I we're learning back as I did years ago, I'd be on this thing every day, more than once a day, to listen to these types of. Here it says, for example, Parlement Catalonia. This is so in Spain, the Catalonian Parliament is talking about how they were meeting to about independence on Friday. So sometimes you're just listening and you hear an international word that you'll recognize. Others are words like, oh, I've heard that before, and those are things that you'll hear. Just like you were when you were a kid, and you had to hear a lot that you didn't understand, and eventually you got it. Same thing is true with Hebrew. You immerse yourself, listening. The brain does its amazing magic and sorts it out. So those are some things related to resources that I just wanted to bring to your attention for the moment. And I think I have an idea. Why don't we go out with that song at the end when I'm signing off? You can share that with the people at the end, and I think people will enjoy that. And if you want to go on to something else, people can go on to something else.
I may have to ask you which link it is when we get to that point. So.
Okay, say that. It's link number 2.
Okay, got it.
Okay, עכשיו. מה זה עכשיו?
טוב, תודה. See, got you on that. Wait. Don't say anything. Now, that's okay. Ask the same question to these two.
מה זה עכשיו?
Pretty close. Use the microphone.
What time is it?
Akshav, they know because they
Uh-huh.
know that when they hear me say Akshav, that I mean business.
Achshav. Achshav means now.
Now.
So, Achshav yesh lanu sipur. Now we have a story. Why? Because so much of content throughout recorded history has been through stories. That's how we learn best. And you never notice that children like to read the same story over and over and over again. You know, how many times do you have to read about the cat in the hat? You know, Achatuli makova. So yesh li sipur. I have a story. Sipur katzar. It's a short story. Al Boris Verina. Do I need to enlarge this a little bit?
Actually, I didn't know we were doing that. I'm sorry. I was looking at your handsome face. Let me fix that.
No, don't do that.
Okay.
I want you to go to the eye doctor.
Oh, there we go. Okay, got it.
Okay, say that. Okay. Hine Boris, ze Boris. Vezot Rina. Boris, Verina.
See his mouse moving on the screen? Good. Okay. Oh, I gotta get it.
Okay. Mize.
Who's that?
Yeah, Mize.
Use the microphone.
Boy?
No, Boris.
Okay. נכון.
His name is
Boris.
Boris.
הנה השם שלו. בוריס וזאת רינה. מי זה?
Me is who?
מי זה?
Mize, who's this?
מי זה? זה רינה?
Use the mic.
Boris?
כן, נכון, כן, יפה מאוד. זה בוריס וזאת בוריס? לא.
No.
זאת לא בוריס. לא. מי זאת?
Who's that? Rena? Barbara Streisand? What?
Yeah. זאת סופרמן?
Okay, so let me lay.
Low.
Let's lay
Low.
down. Let me lay down the ground. Okay, so if you hear him say something that doesn't sound like it's English, it's probably because it wasn't. He's speaking Hebrew. So if you pay attention to how he asks the question, the way he emphasizes the questions, you could tell kind of what he's asking just by where the mouse is and his tone of voice. So he's saying, "Who is this? Is this Boris? Lo.
Low.
Mize or Mizot?
כן, מי זאת?
Who is that? Then who is this feminine? Mizot?
A girl?
What her
Yeah.
name?
כן. ומי זאת? השם שלה. What's her name? מה השם שלה?
There you go. Okay, so you kind of follow how he's playing this game with you guys? Okay. Because he told you in the very beginning.
כן. זה בוריס. בוריס. הנה בוריס, רינה. זאת רינה. בוריס, רינה. מי זה?
Boris?
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
כן, נכון. מי זאת?
Rena?
כן, יפה, יופי.
Yay.
בוריס ורינה, יפה. אז בוריס, רגע, למה זה לא הולך? הוא קופץ מכל מקום פה, מה קורה פה? It's jumping all over, not giving me what I want.
Ah, there you go.
רגע,
Ophenaim.
כן, אופניים, כן, ושוטר. לא, יש, פה.
Oh, there
כן,
you go.
בוריס הוא ילד. מה זה ילד?
Yeah.
אני לא שומע.
Do it again. Say it loud.
Boy?
כן. בוריס הוא ילד. ורינה היא ילדה. כן? בוריס הוא ילד
כן.
ורינה, כן. ורינה ילדה. אז לבוריס יש לו סקייטבורד, ויש לו אייפד, ויש לו אייפון. אז הנה, לבוריס יש אייפון, לבוריס יש אייפד, לבוריס יש סקייטבורד.
So what is Yesh? He has.
Not.
He has.
Oh, he has.
Okay, now.
כן, יש לו אייפד, יש לו אייפון, יש לו סקייטבורד.
Now notice the low here.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
No.
No. Look at the way it's spelled. Lamed Aleph is no. Lamed Vav is he. He has.
כן.
Right?
טוב, והנה רינה ילדה, ורינה אין לה אייפון, ואין לה אייפד, ואין לה סקייטבורד. יש לבוריס יש אייפון, לבוריס יש אייפד, לבוריס יש סקייטבורד, אבל לרינה אין. יש לרינה סקייטבורד? לא.
לא.
יש לרינה אייפון? לא. יש לרינה אייפד?
Yeah, you see, low? No?
לא. נכון. אבל יש לרינה אופניים. יש לרינה אופניים. ואין לבוריס אין לו אופניים.
Poor kid.
אין לו, כן. ובוריס רוצה, בוריס רוצה אופניים, אבל אין לו אופניים. אז בוריס רוצה, once, we use our hands like this, רוצה את האופניים של רינה. בוריס אומר לרינה, אני רוצה את האופניים שלך, yours. בוריס אומר לרינה, אני רוצה את האופניים שלך. ורינה אומרת, לא. אלה האופניים שלי, לא שלך. כן? אתה מבין אותי?
טוב.
אז רינה, רגע, בוריס לוקח. מה זה לוקח?
לוקח? I don't know.
Watch me.
Okay. Oh, he wants.
Boris,
he grabs or he
כן. בוריס לוקח, takes. בוריס לוקח את האופניים של רינה הילדה, ורינה כועסת.
I'm guessing he gets arrested.
Look at his face.
רינה כועסת. כן, רינה כועסת. והיא אומרת, רינה אומרת, שוטר! והנה, פה, יש שוטר. זה שוטר. הוא שוטר. הוא לא ילד. הוא שוטר. הוא לא ילדה. הוא שוטר. הוא לא אופניים. הוא שוטר. אז רינה אומרת, שוטר. השוטר בא, השוטר לוקח את בוריס. זה הסיפור. That's the story. זה הסיפור שלנו.
Yeah, Sam Quentin for this kid.
That's right. Now, let's take a look at the story in writing, all right? And I'll read it out very clearly so those who want to go back and listen to it can go back and listen to it. So what did we say? We said, זה Boris. This is Boris. Boris, ילד. Boris is a kid. He's a boy. Boris הוא ילד חכם, smart, יפה, nice looking, ואתלטי. That's a word from English. What is it?
Athletic.
Athlete.
Oh, he's athletic. Athlete.
Yes, he's athletic. לבוריס יש iPad. לבוריס יש אייפון. לבוריס יש סקייטבורד. but לבוריס אין אופניים. A bike. בוריס רוצה אופניים. He wants a bike.
Nice.
Zot Rina. This is Rina. Rina Yalda.
David
Rina's
has
a girl.
question.
Ken.
So he has those items and he doesn't use them, like the tablets and the iPhones.
Oh, he has them. He just wants more. Yesh lo, אבל הוא רוצה יותר. Ein lo אופניים. He doesn't have a bike. אז הוא רוצה את האופניים של רינה. He wants Rina's bike. זאת רינה. רינה ילדה. רינה היא ילדה אתלטית. She's an athletic girl. חכמה, smart. ויפה, good looking, pretty. לרינה יש אופניים. Rina has a bike. בוריס רוצה את האופניים של רינה. Boris wants Rina's bike. בוריס אומר לרינה, אני רוצה את האופניים שלך. I want your bike. רינה אומרת לבוריס, Rina says to Boris, האופניים הם האופניים שלי. The bike is my bike. בוריס לוקח את האופניים של רינה. Boris takes the bike of Rina, takes Rina's bike. Rina כועסת. She gets angry. Boris לא כועס. Boris isn't angry. Rina כועסת. Rina's angry. Rina אומרת, שוטר, שוטר. What's a שוטר?
Talk to the microphone.
Policeman.
כן, 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 כן. השוטר לוקח את בוריס. So the policeman takes Boris. That's our story that way. Now, in this particular slide, I've put all of the relevant vocabulary. So if someone wants to get someone wants the PDF of this, this is one way to reference it, to go back and forth, so you have it. Another way to reference this that I put in here for you is here. I created, it's in the story itself. I'll go back and show it to you. This is known as a Quizlet. Can you see that there? Yeah. This is known as a Quizlet, and I created this link specifically with this list of words. And when you click on these flashcards, it flips around and tells you what it is. Okay, so you can go on to the boy. Yes, here's Yalda. Who, he, so it tells you what it is. Chacham, chachama. So there's 20 words in here. You can see them on atleti, atletit. Okay, iPad, iPhone. So again, if you have basic Hebrew literacy skills, if you can, read the letters and the vowels, then you qualify for being able to use this as a resource. And once again, the idea of using stories with simple language, what I'm trying to do at this level for our constituency is there are like 200 high-frequency words that are the absolute foundation that everybody needs. I have that list. I teach from that list. I weave it into what I do with my students at the high school level. And I teach from the lowest level in high school to honors level. So, and we use this method in different ways based on those. So let me ask you, William, this is the first time we've done this kind of this way.
Yeah.
By the way, with this Quizlet that's called, you can do different things. For example, you can, let's see, I don't want to do the gravity one. I want to do this one. Go back. Now it's going to freeze up on me. Wonderful. Go back. Here we go, this one. Okay. You can do a matching with this. So it'll populate it and give you timing. So you can go through and figure out, like here's Shalach, this way, Chacham, Chachama, Smart, Maya.
Nice.
So you can go through and do that. It's a time situation.
Nice.
You can compete with yourself as you do that. You can also, some other resources that are here, is you can create your own test. And with the test, I'll show you something I like to do. I use this in my classes. It'll generate something with written, but this doesn't really lend itself with Hebrew for written. So what it does work with is matching, multiple choice, and true false.
Nice.
Now what I do with this is I come down here to, I have to make this smaller first so you can see. Okay, over here is a button called options. I go into options and I take off written. Let's say I just want to do matching. So by toggling those off and I just have matching, here are the number 20 of 20 questions. I create a new test. I'm leading off with the Hebrew on the left, and now I can match it up. So that's one way to do it.
That's nice. I like that.
So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it, let's say I've done that, and now I want to try it with multiple choice. So I can go in and I can do with the same word list. I can go back and then here it gives me the word in English. And so I look back and say, okay, which one is it?
That's
right,
really cool. Yeah.
happens to be this, and you can go through and put you can take it there.
Okay.
And write on down, and it'll score it for you as well. So you can also do true, false that way. So we use these from time to time in our classes. Awesome. So the Quizlet for you is already there. I've put the link on the Quizlet on this particular slide right here.
Okay.
So if you look down here at the bottom,
oh yes,
you can see it. And you can copy it and go that way. So that's really it for today. I really appreciate everyone's time, and I hope this was useful. It's a little different methodology. We'll get better at it as we go using this format. It helps a lot to have David and Sarah here to interact. So David and Sarah, as you work with us, you'll get better and better at following kind of what's going on, and you have to kind of watch me because I'll use gestures and I'll use facial expressions and other things to kind of give you clues as to what's going on here. In my classes at high school, we'll often use just things from sign language like learn or need or sorry. And we use different signs because we teach sign language also at the high school. So we try to incorporate those also across the way. But what are we doing? We're trying to take meaningful language at a level that you can absorb just above where you are right now maybe, and help your mind to go, oh, I didn't understand 100%, but I got what he was saying. Did you have that experience today?
Kinda.
Okay, kinda is a good answer.
It was a little confusing at first, but I started getting it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we did this for a whole hour, and we were live in each other's presence. If I were in your living room or your studio there, you would have had it in 5 or 10 minutes. Because I also give you some, I didn't give you the preamble of how we normally go about this. So we just dove into the material. But maybe next time we'll talk about some of the what do you do? So in my classes, I have a sign or a cue, a signal for my students. They do like this, so I can hear them, because if they raise their hand, maybe they want to go out to do something. But if they do this, I know they're trying to get my attention. Maybe my back is to them, to the board, whatever, on the smart board. So this gets my attention, or they do this, or they on the desktop. So that's it. There are no mistakes in my class. Nobody makes a mistake. There's no such thing as mistakes when you're learning a language. It's just you are where you are. And so wouldn't it be great to learn languages without having to take tests?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
I will tell you, this one was, I know probably how they were feeling in the beginning was kind of how I was feeling too. As you were talking, because you talk so fast, my mind is really trying to focus really tight and grab every little thing that sounds familiar at all. But you did such a good job of illustrating what you were doing as we were following along, that without the words, we were just trying to follow along and we could kind of catch a few pieces. But then when you went back and actually read it and we were able to see the words, it all started coming together. It all started.
Well, that's the thing. I will confess to one. I just said there are no errors, but one shortcoming today. One shortcoming, which is I think I did speak too fast because I'm conscious of the time and I'm conscious of the viewers,
right,
and I didn't want it to feel too schlepped out. So, but normally in my classrooms, I'll speak at a pace about like this. Let's say something like this. Let me go over here. Where's the story? Okay. Something like this. Ze Boris hu yeled.
Oh, yeah.
Yeled.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Vezot Rina lo yeled, Rina yalda. Okay, so at about that pace, under
that's
right around 100 or 90 words a minute, pretty slow.
Gotcha.
So
well, it was good. It was really good. It was really good.
It's just a beginning. If anybody wants the PDF, by the way, you're certainly welcome to write to me at this email address.
Wonderful.
And I'll be happy to send it. אני מאוד שמח לשלוח את זה אל כל אחד שרוצה את זה. אז פשוט לכתוב עליי בגבריאל סנדרס, Gavriel, strudel. That's what they call that in Hebrew. They don't call it at, they call it a strudel. Because it looks like an apple strudel, right? Okay. They call that in Hebrew. They call it strudel. I remember the first time I ever heard somebody say, giving me his email address. He said, like Yaakov Kaminsky, strudel. מה זה strudel? זה דבר שאני אוכל. That's something that I eat, So I could not get it, but they call that a strudel. So.
That's funny. That's funny.
All right, kids. Thank you very much. Kol Tuv. And if you want to cue up that song as something that concludes the show.
I do have it up, as a matter of fact. Let me just go ahead and I'll put it on screen too so they can see it as well.
Okay.
And there it is.
And I'm going to sign off for this edition of the program, and we'll see you next time. If anybody has questions, suggestions, or requests for specific content, I'm more than happy to do that. So, אם יש שאלות ספציפיות עבור תוכן מסוים, specific content, אני מאוד שמח לעשות מחקר, be happy to do the research, ולספק לכם את מה שנחוץ, and to provide for you what is needed. כל טוב, הצלחה רבה, שבוע טוב.
תודה רבה.
ביי, להתראות, ביי. I'm dropping off, כל טוב.
מה אני אתן? את האופק הצר שרואים בחלום, את האיש העומד עם הגב לשלום. מה אני אתן לו? מה אני אתן? מה אני אתן לו? מה אני אתן? יום אחד כשיהיה לי ילד, יום אחד כשיהיה לי ילד, מה אני אתן לו? מה אני אתן? מה אני אתן לו? מה אני אתן? את הדרך הזאת בין זאב לשועל, איך אסביר לו שמתי שהוא הלב נשבר? איך אני אסביר לו? איך אני אסביר? איך אני אסביר לו? איך אני אסביר?
אשוב ואחזור